Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you an exercise that helps you improve your posture. In the last video, I talked about three key things, and in order to improve your posture. And so those three things are: number one, movement is movement. Posture is movement. That's number one, and posture is movement, not the static position or alignment. And number two, posture is control subconsciously, not consciously, but subconsciously by the brain. And number three is movement, habitual movement patterns. Okay, so that being said, the focus of exercise will be in two things. And number one is improving movement and movement quality. And number two is expanding and to expand the movement variability and beyond habitual patterns. So let's get into an exercise now. So before we start and getting into exercise, let's talk about what we need to do the exercise. You really don't need a whole lot. All you need is some floor space where you can lie down, preferably some nice firm surface where you can lie down. Soft mattress, bed, not ideal, but if that's the only place you can do, that could work too. I prefer hard on the floor and then have some yoga mats on the floor. If you don't have a yoga mat, you can use a blanket or something to soften and to make it a little softer, more comfortable to lie down. And this is actually what I do beginning of my class and beginning of my the one-on-one session, and what I call the body scanning. And the purpose of the body scanning is so we start with the body scanning first, and so just to get a sense of how your body feels, and then after going through the exercise or the movement lesson, and then we'll come back to the body scanning at the end of the lesson so that you can actually feel the difference. And this is really, really helpful, and I do use it almost every single time I do the class and I do one-on-one session. Okay, so let's begin, and I'll just walk you through and talk you through. Okay, so you lie down on the mat with the legs and your arms long. Okay, and if that's too uncomfortable for your back, then it's okay to have your legs bent like so. But if you're able to lie down somewhat comfortably with the legs straight, that's okay, and I prefer this way first. And if you need something behind your head just to provide more comfort and to support your head, and feel free to use a pillow or any blankets or the towels so that you don't feel, so your head is not hanging like this, okay? But for me, this works just fine. So first, just lie down, and sometimes it does help to have your eyes closed so you can actually feel, and you can feel your body a little more easily and more clearly. So I tend to do that with my eyes closed, and I tend to have my clients and my students close their eyes while they're scanning the body. It's up to you. So what you do first, I'll make it very simple and quick. Okay, so first, as you're lying down, and just to bring your awareness and attention to your pelvis and how the pelvis is touching the ground, touching the floor. And you can feel the right side or the left side, and it has more contact. There's just more weight into the floor. And notice that which side feels closer to the floor, has more weight. And then the next one, feel the spine, okay, the lowest part of the spine. And there's usually a space behind your back a little bit, okay, and you don't really have to use your hands, but I'd like you to actually use your sensation, your mind's eye, to sense that space, and just to feel the space and how much space, and notice the contact of your spine from the lowest part of the spine to all the way up to the neck and the top of the neck. Okay, so just to feel what part of the spine has the contact and what part of the spine doesn't have the contact, and how the weight distribution is it changes throughout the spine. And you notice some parts have very clear contact, and while other parts of the spine, for example, the low back and in the neck, and the top and the upper back, and it may not have much contact, or maybe have a very little contact. Okay, so notice how much contact does your spine have, and it is important to make that note in your mental note. And because after the lesson, after the exercise, and then you come back to do the scanning, and then you will feel how that the contact has changed throughout the lesson and at the end of the lesson. So, how your head is touching the ground and making a contact, so you kind of get a sense of the amount of the contact behind the head, and the amount of the contact on the spine with the floor, and the amount of the contact on the pelvis. And once you scan that, it'll take just a couple minutes to get a sense on what the contact is like at this moment. And then let's begin now the lesson. Okay, so now we'll actually start the exercise part. And bend both legs. And feet are not too wide apart and not close together. So just to have your feet about hip width apart or the shoulder width apart. And knees are not touching, knees are not too wide apart. Just have your knees pointed towards the ceiling. And then begin to roll your pelvis up and then down a few times. Up and then down. Okay? So rolling your pelvis means to lift the pelvis, lift the tailbone towards the ceiling. And then rolling the pelvis means to press the tailbone towards the floor, into the floor. So up and down like this way. Okay, so you'll notice as you roll the pelvis upward, the arch in the low back and it decreases, and the low back actually starts to press into the floor. Then as you begin to roll the pelvis downward, the space behind the back and actually increases, so there will be more arch. Okay, and when you do this one, it is important to note that the focus is not how big of the movement you can make in each direction, but how clearly that you can move into each direction. So the range of the motion is not the important part of the movement, the exercise. Then as you rock the pelvis forward and back, get used to that movement, and then begin to notice how that movement is going to influence the movement of the spine. Okay, so whether the movement of the pelvis stays there, or stops there, or does that move through the spine as well. Okay, so just to pay attention to feel that. And you don't really have to do too many times. I'll say just maybe 15 times or so, or until you become familiar with this movement, and you can stop that. Okay, so that's the first part. And then the second part, interlace your hands and put your hands behind your head. Okay, and then bring your elbows up towards the ceiling and begin to lift your head just a little bit and down and rest. Bring your elbows up towards the ceiling and begin to lift your head. And down. Just a few times. 10 to 15 times, that's fine. And you stop and rest for a little bit, and then the next part, you're going back to rocking the pelvis and up and down directions. Okay? So first, I'm going to roll the pelvis downward to arch my back. And as I begin to roll in my pelvis, and it's starting to lift the tailbone, and starting to lift the pelvis, and starting to lift my vertebra, one vertebra by one vertebra. And slowly, until my weight shifts over to my shoulder blades. So I'm wavering through my shoulder blades now. And then begin to lower one vertebra by one vertebra. Instead of drop everything down at once. Okay, so just go one bone at a time to here, and then lower one vertebra by one vertebra until your pelvis returns to the floor. And rolling the pelvis downward to arch my back, and then release it and begin to roll my pelvis upward and continue to roll it and begin to lift my spine. And down. Okay. And you can repeat this one 10 to 15 times. Okay, and make sure that you continue to breathe. You don't hold your breath and you don't tighten your stomach muscles. Okay, so you can put your hands on your belly, your stomach muscles. You can feel, see if you can keep your stomach muscles free from this movement. If you can keep these muscles nice and soft while you're doing this movement, and then you can actually feel the movement of the spine more clearly, like that. Right. So once you've done that, and you can stop and take a little rest. And then going back to this one, put your hands, interlace your hands behind your head. Bring your elbows towards the ceiling, and then begin to lift your head. You can just imagine you are lifting one vertebra by one vertebra from the top of the spine and downward. Okay? And then, as you lower your head down, and think about putting one vertebra by one vertebra down. Okay. And next, leave your hands, interlace your hands behind your head, and begin to roll my pelvis upward and lift my pelvis all the way to the shoulder blades and stay there. And then now from there, bring your elbows towards the ceiling and then begin to lift your head. And notice as you begin to lift your head, your spine starts to go down. One vertebra by one vertebra until the pelvis goes down. And lift your head up and begin to lift your pelvis. Roll your pelvis and lift your pelvis and spine. And notice how that movement is going to bring the head down. Okay. Like a seesaw movement. One end goes up and the other end goes down, and vice versa. The head goes up, the tail goes down, tail goes up, the head goes down. Okay. And now stay there. Take your hands away from behind the head, and then lower the pelvis down slowly, one vertebra by one vertebra, and leave it there. And finally, put your legs down long, and you can do the scanning once again, so feel your contact on the pelvis. Okay? How the pelvis is touching the ground, and how is the spine touching the ground. And notice any changes, and whether you can feel there's more contact, the spine has more contact with the floor, and some parts of the spine that didn't make a contact with the floor, now you may notice that there is more contact with the floor. So what changed? And just to take a note. Okay? You can rest for a minute or so, and then I roll onto the side, and then come to sit. Or you can come to stand. Okay? And sit or stand, and then once you come up onto your feet or in sitting, and and feel your posture and notice if any changes, and notice any changes in the way that you're standing or sitting. You may notice some changes. Okay? If you haven't noticed the changes in the contact of the spine as you're lying down after the exercise, then most likely that you will probably notice you haven't noticed the changes in your posture too. So see what you think, okay? And I recommend, if this is the first time to do this exercise, and I would recommend that you watch the video and you do the exercise while you watch the video. And then the second time you do the exercise, and let just to play the video, and then in the background, and then you can listen, turn up the volume so you can listen to my instructions, and then without even watching the video, and just only listen to the instructions, and then you can go through the same movement, same exercise, and in that way it's easier for you to actually pay attention to your own movements and your own sensation of the movements in your body. So just to give it a try and see what you think, and then I will be posting 2 more exercise videos in over the next couple of weeks, and so stay tuned. Okay, and if you like this video, if you like the exercise, then please consider subscribing. And okay, so anyways, see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this exercise. All right.